There are many old stadiums that have been modified very much over time. Some so much that they really aren't the original anymore. And while many stadiums get additions and renovations over time, there are some that still claim to be among the oldest that really aren't, due to essentially every original part, or almost every original part, being demolished and replaced. These are stadiums that aren't really the original. First on our list we have Husky Stadium in Washington, the home of the Washington Huskies since 1920. Its original 30,000-seat bowl would be heavily expanded upon over the years, with new sections being built beyond it. In 1950, the first covered upper deck was built, and in 1987, another one. However, from 2011 to 2013, the entire stadium, except for the 1987 portion, was torn down, making no part of it original to the 1920 construction. It is essentially a new stadium, with its oldest portion being from the 1980s. The final price after the work was done? $280 million. Therefore, none of it is even 50 years old, let alone over 100. Next, we have Texas A&M's Kyle Field. Originally opening in the late 1920s, it would expand off of a capacity of 32,000 originally, similar to the initial capacity of Husky Stadium. It would, however, be expanded multiple times over its life, reaching a capacity of over 80,000 by the turn of the century. However, with renovations and expansions over time, the original bowl of the stadium would slowly be taken away, until finally, during the beginning of the 2-year renovation project of 2014 and 15, the last 1920s portion was demolished, making no part of the stadium original to its first several decades of existence. Next we have Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. The stadium would exist mostly in its original form through 2001. However, during its so-called renovation in 2002 going into 2003, it was essentially gutted and demolished. And while it is still claimed to be the oldest stadium in the NFL, this is really not the case. As for the most part, the new structure is basically independent of the old, with clear spacing between the newer portion and the old portion serving as mostly just a decorative entranceway, facade, and platform. The fact that this is considered the oldest stadium in the NFL is frankly a joke. And if you don't agree, well, the National Park Service seems to, as it was decided that its landmark designation would be removed after the renovation was done. And lastly, we have one that was basically completely torn down all at once, but is still considered to a degree as if it's not a completely separate stadium. What was the original Stanford Stadium would open in 1921. It would expand from around 10,000 to a capacity exceeding 85,000 by its end. It was completely demolished in 2005 and 6, with the new stadium opening in 2006, with pretty much just the location itself being the same. For only $90 million, this was a fairly adequate replacement, at least given the improvement over the previous. In these stadiums, sometimes the lore of history clouds the reality, and even though these venues aren't necessarily bad, aside from a few cases of small features, they aren't the originals, and in reality should be seen as modern stadiums. Thank you for watching.